Notts County Talk live on a Tuesday night for the first time this season, George, with episode 39 of the Pavis Perspective podcast. Tuesday night, obviously, because we've got Kings Lynn on the Friday, so we couldn't do our usual Friday show, so brought it forward a few days. And we're just so excited to talk about the Torquay game, aren't we, really? Your mic's muted, George, there, son. Tuesday.
Thanks for that one, Tom. Yeah, no, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible result.
That's how little you wanted to speak about it.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
Yeah, no, it got in. I literally was in disbelief when I was listening along to it. To concede 5 is just terrible. It's the most we've conceded in a National League game, isn't it? I don't know what more can you really say. Disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful.
I tweeted it. There's not one. I didn't even cross my mind. It crossed my mind that we could lose. It didn't cross my mind we would lose like that. You go into some games like Stockport and you're thinking we might nick a win or we might get battered. Getting battered never even crossed my mind. Not because Torquay are a poor side, but because we just seem to have got it clicked. Everything sort of seemed good. I don't know if you saw the pictures. There was a load of Notts fans in Torquay even the day before. It seemed like we'd taken over Torquay, and then I see a picture of Les Brad in the pub with people before the game, and I'm thinking, this is just the togetherness of the team. And I'm thinking, Les Brad's in the pub before the game seeing fans. I've heard Birchnell went for a drink with some fans he saw in a hotel. Someone tweeted that morning they spoke to Birchnell by the seafront and Doyle. You got children having pictures with all the players. I thought this side have finally got it together, and within 14 minutes they're 2 down.
Yeah, summed up.
It is, isn't it? Even to everyone that's joining us, yeah, it does feel a bit like a Thursday, even though I've been going Fridays, but there we go. Do you think Torquay are just a bogey team?
Yeah, we always struggle against them, don't we? I don't know if it's the players, if it's Gary Johnson. He seems to have a bit of a thing against Notts, doesn't he? He said a few things in the press, hasn't he? Previous games that have played them. Obviously, when they scored their 5th, he was dancing on the sidelines, being a bit of a cheerleader. Like Birchnell said it in his post-match, fair play, you're winning 5-1. But to be honest with you, I think a true professional manager, you won't really see that from. Do you know what I mean? That's not me being salty or anything like that. I just think the further you go up the leagues, you're not going to see. Well, I say you're not going to see Pep Guardiola doing that, but if the camera's on him, you might. But you're not going to see real professional managers that conduct themselves while doing things like that. But
yeah,
fair play to them. They beat Notts County 5-1.
Yeah, and then they did it emphatically. Have you seen have you managed to bring yourself to watch the goals?
No.
Genuinely, the 4th goal, I think it is, the 4th and 5th goal, they absolutely walk through our defence like they're not there. Like it's a Sunday league. And we said it before, and who doesn't like to be right? But in this case, I don't like to be right. We both said Lemon Evans scares us before the game. The guy's got a hat-trick, and I saw a tweet about him. What he did is he drove forward all game, straight at the back four, and they couldn't handle it. Ruben does that to some degree, but Lemon Evans was non-stop at that defence. Don't you think as well? I'm going to put it out. I think Danny Wright's a poor player. He just turns up against Notts. It's his team, isn't it?
It sounds like he just bullied us.
Well,
having his way with our defence and just
Well,
another one that just turns up against. Yeah, exactly. Another one that just seems to turn up against Notts.
I don't think you can pin any of that on Chickson. If you're physically smaller than someone, and they're constantly, putting the ball in the air, putting it where it's a contest of strength, what more can you really do? Do you know what I mean? Other than switch the whole defence around. If you were to switch him and Rawlinson around, Danny Wright would just switch sides again and just pop onto Chickson again. You can't. I don't know how you stop that other than the obvious of playing 3 centre backs. So we'll let Chickson off for that. I don't think there's too much in there.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's one of those things where we've kind of talked about the wide centre backs being sort of weaker players, sort of your more nimble fullbacks, not your sort of solid centre backs. Chickson being one of those for me. He's been class, don't get me wrong, but he's also one of those players where you feel like aerially he's probably not the best. And like you say, strength-wise, someone like Danny Wright is going to struggle against, like you say. So I think it's just one of those games where someone's seen that sort of possible weakness in our side and done really well against it.
Well, in that case, then should we not go back to your tweet last Friday asking if we'll see Sam Graham start? Should someone not have possibly seen that happening? We've played them already this season. We've seen Danny Wright score a goal with his head.
Yeah,
should we not have seen this coming?
Yeah, in parts, I know what you're saying, but on the flip side of that, I mean, that's a bad game for Chickson now, and other than that, I can't really recall maybe the last time we played Torquay. I can't really recall him having a terrible game, you know?
No.
He always gives that like good performance, doesn't he, Chickson? A good solid performance. So I think it's just one of those games where, yeah, he's probably bound to struggle against physical side. Maybe they should have noticed it and put someone in like Graham, like you say. But going forward, I don't know if we should change it too much. But then if we've seen that weakness in our team now and other teams have seen it, maybe they're going to target it more. So, yeah, you could be right, yeah.
Do we miss Brinley or Cameron more?
Cameron.
I think.
Yeah. Like you were saying there, if Chickson's like Rawlinson in that situation, you know, he's not going to get bullied, and if it's Cameron, he's definitely not going to get bullied. So
yeah, I agree. I think even if
I don't think he allows that to happen either. I can't imagine Cameron allowing us to concede that many goals. You know what I mean?
I know, but I would have said the same about Rawlinson. To be fair, I don't think I'd have expected that from Rawlinson. I think Cameron's a better defender. He's our captain. He's one of our best players. But I agree with what you're saying. But with Rawlinson on the pitch, I know he's not played fantastic in the last few games, Harry Arter. But with Harry Arter, Rawlinson on the pitch, and Lacey conceding 5, Matty Palm on there as well. I was shell shocked listening to it, honestly, and I feel for the fans that went, because that's a long trip. So some fans saying it took over 5 hours of roadworks. Don't deserve that. The only positive is Torquay's a nice place, and it looked like everyone had a good weekend despite that.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weekend, wasn't it? Yeah, it looked good.
Away from the personnel, then, if we look at Collins here, have we overlooked the basics of non-league defending in order to incorporate playing out from the back? Obviously, we play it out from the back. Charlie, who watches us, I think he's watching us now, sent me something maybe a week ago, and it was about the passing out from the back, and I think it was Richard Brinley had one of the highest successful pass percentage of that from the back in the whole league. That's fantastic. But what do you think about that? What Colin said? Do we not do the basics? We haven't been caught out as such, have we? We haven't been directly caught out from a bad pass. We maybe have this season, but not recently. But do you think, I go back to Barrow getting promoted, Sutton, they sort of did the basics very well.
Yeah, I think Barrow had a nice brand of football when they got promoted. You know, they'd have been not far off the sort of style that we played now, to be honest. Maybe a few more long balls in there, but I think it's easy to sort of get hung up on the style of football we play. You know, we've faced a lot of challenges in the last couple of months. Obviously, looking at Stockport when we had so many players ill, etc., etc. And they are excuses. I know every team probably goes through something like this in the season, but there are times this season where it feels like the tides have been against us, maybe a little bit. But then when I think about, you know, the football I've seen us play this season, I think we've played some really good stuff. And it's enjoyable to watch, and we are actually better off, I'm sure, this season. It's not by much. I think it's like 3 or 4 points this time last season, same amount of games. We're on more points, and for me, this is a more difficult season because of the teams that we've got in, like your Chesterfield, your Stockport, your Wrexham, and stuff like that. So I think it's a good reflection to look at things like that. And I know, like when we've had a couple of bad results in what seems like fairly close succession. I know we were on a good run leading up to the Torquay game, but before that, you know, we did have a couple of bad results. But no, I'm behind this style, and I can sort of see, you know, the basics of non-league defending, sort of hoof it up and just have solid, slow centre backs. But you know, I think whether we think that or not, I think the owners are going to stay true to that sort of belief, because that's the brand that they want to install in the club. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's about doing stuff at the right time. Sometimes you have to smash the ball away, even if you're not going to get on the end of it to get your team up 5-10 yards. The majority of the time, we can play like Birchnell has a setup, you know. And if we can get 5 or 10 yards further up the pitch, especially against a team with Danny Wright up top, he's not really going to get in behind that often, is he? You know, he's going to want the ball to feet and he's going to want to pass it out, turn, want the ball in his head. So I think we've just got to be a bit smarter sometimes. Sometimes just smash it away because we do get sort of trapped trying to play it out and it doesn't always go right. Sonny says Arthur was so poor at the weekend, looked sluggish off the ball and leaving too much space behind for the attackers.
The thing that I find disappointing about Arthur is he got another yellow for dissent. Now I think he's only played 4 or 5 games, hasn't he? And he's got 2 or 3 yellows for dissent. That's not great, is it? I mean, we're talking about someone who's physical, and I know, I said the other week about having someone like that, but he's got to be careful because he's going to be picking up, he'll have 5 yellows before he knows it and might have to sit a game out or a few games out, and we don't want that. So we want that edge, but we want it to be clever at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, have it when we're 1-0 up and we need a bit of time killing or something like that. Yeah, I agree. The less said about that game, the better. I kind of want to move on from it move on from the game specifically because it's easy to criticize it and say teams aren't going to go up when that happens. But at the same time, this genuinely happens to every team at some point. Like maybe don't know the Stockport results off the top of my head. I don't know Wrexham's results throughout the whole season. But things like this, whether the scoreline reflects it or whether they've just been battered all game, that happens to the best teams. That happens to Man City.
Yeah, no. To be fair, Wrexham conceded 5 against Dover not that long ago.
Yeah. Oh no.
I got to mention it every video now because that's poor.
I know they've won that game, but that is at the same time that is reflection of bad defending that game, isn't it? To concede 5 today.
Exactly.
We haven't played Dover yet, and I hope that doesn't come back to bite you. But
me too.
It's just it will happen to every team. Whether we go up is another thing. It will be interesting, but we'll have to see. Maybe we can be that team that can have that happen to us a fair few times. I mean, it's happened in the last 2 of the last sort of 6 league games, hasn't it? Away from the game specifically, then. Go on, say what you're going to say.
Do you know the thing is as well? Like football is so fickle. Like imagine Kings Lynn on Friday. We've been like, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen. We beat them by a big scoreline, and it's like 4-0. And then we go on to our next game. Who's our next game after that? I want to say Weymouth, isn't it? Another favourable game where we could get a big scoreline. 2 good results like that. I think, results like Torquay, they're not forgotten, but they're in the distance because you feel like that buzz from, big wins at Meadow Lane. So I think we've just got to park it and hope that it's an anomaly. But it doesn't, like I said in the video, it doesn't fill your confidence, I don't think, going into the playoffs because we are going to be playing teams like that. And that's something that Doyle sort of addressed in his video that was released earlier on today, sort of saying that they are the teams that we will be facing if we make the playoffs. So,
yeah. Well, what does worry me about the playoffs, and I openly admit this worries me now, the next 7 games are not reflective of a playoff side at all. None of them are reflective of a playoff side. Regardless of if Kings Lynn are scrapping at the bottom for their life, they'll pose a different threat to a playoff side. They might come to Meadow Lane. They may well come to Meadow Lane and win, but they won't do it by dominating the game. They'll do it by nicking it on the counter or waiting for us to make a mistake. We can play as well as you want these next 7 games, and we might well build confidence, which will be fantastic. We might start scoring, we might get the defence really, really good. But what's going to happen if we then play Wrexham? They're completely different to the last 7 sides. That's my only concern. Now, if the confidence is high, that's fine. That might well get it over the line. But none of the next 7 games are reflective of what the games after would be if we get playoffs. I'm very confident we'll get the playoffs. Someone mentioned it earlier. It might have been Daz in the chat, said that there's no Carl Roberts again. I know there's been these sponsor days, hasn't there? I think he trained today. From what I've heard, I would have expected him to be training anyway. I mean, he's under contract and he's being paid. They're not going to not let him train. I thought he'd have been in the squad against Torquay.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And he wasn't. So I don't know what to say anymore.
I think really if he's not in the squad on Friday, there's obviously a problem.
Well, yeah, I think he travelled down with the squad. I think Charlie Slater said he didn't, but I think he did travel to Torquay with the squad. If he doesn't play Friday, or he doesn't even get on the bench Friday, I don't know. I honestly don't know. I feel like, just to let it be what it is, we had a bad result against Torquay. If Carl Roberts played that game, the result against Torquay, they'll probably still have lost the way the rest of the side played. So I think regardless of that, we'll just have to see. We've shown we can win games without him. I mean, I hope he's back in the side Friday, on the bench at the very least, because these are the kind of games, if he's not been in the squad and is fired up and then all of a sudden he comes in and scores 2 against Kings Lynn and starts to play really well, gets a few against Weymouth, then you're laughing. But
yeah,
other than that, I don't really know what to say on it anymore. I just think we have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. Another good talking point, I think, before we go on. Did you watch Birchnell's post-match after the game? He sort of slated the players a bit, didn't he, about saying that it's like mentally sort of switched off. Do you think that was the case?
Yeah.
They just think because of this favourable running, like.
Yeah, and maybe look at the atmosphere I said was created in Torquay. It almost felt like a party atmosphere. Yeah. I'm saying that from the players' perspective, not the fans, because the fans go and enjoy themselves. Like the players, from their perspective, did they sort of think? I don't know. I don't know. Did they sort of think we'll get through this game and then we've got that 7, like you said? Possibly. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think they did switch off?
I think it's a massive possibility, isn't it?
Why though?
I don't know. I think subliminally, mentally, things like that can sort of affect you. You know, we've talked a lot this season about our last 7 games, haven't we, being fairly easy and stuff like that. You know, first is out of reach now, obviously.
Second is out of reach.
Second's out of reach. Third, you know, it's hanging on by a thread.
Are we 9 behind third?
I think that's right, yeah. You know what I mean? It's in 7 games, you've got to pretty much be getting 4 marks to be even becoming close to catching up with 9 points. But yeah, I think maybe it was. Yeah, maybe it was. I think there's a few components. I think maybe Torquay are always up for it when they play Notts. Gary Johnson's always up for it. You know, Chickson was targeted by Danny Wright for his strength. Yeah.
Yeah. 2 things. One, slating the players is good. I remember, I think it was Challoner said after an Eastleigh game, or was it Paul Cook? Either Chesterfield or Stockport won the game, and the first thing they said in the post-match was that it was a disgraceful performance. Although that's not, if you do it once, that's not going to do the players any harm. They're doing it after a win. That's exactly what you need. Like, you need a manager that's going to tell it like it is. So that's good from Birchnell. Second point is we could finish 4th, and guess who we could play in the playoffs? Torquay. We could get Torquay at home in the playoffs. And would I fancy that? Based off Saturday, definitely not. You feel like after this game, if the players can mentally switch off like that after this season, I wouldn't fancy Notts. Definitely wouldn't fancy Notts.
Yeah, I mean, I wish just the rest of the games this season we could play at home.
Yeah.
Even the playoff final, but you know.
Yeah. Andrew says 3rd place with me. Notts have to win all 7 and hope that 3rd place loses 3. Yeah, so I'd have to hope that Halifax drop 9 points and then Notts win every game. Now, Halifax end the season at Stockport. Not easy. I mean, Stockport could already be up there. And they've still got to go to Southend. They've got to play Chesterfield. So it's not going to be easy, but you never know. You know, one of the games Halifax are expected to win is Altrincham away on Saturday or Friday. If they win against Altrincham or lose against Altrincham, and Notts win, all of a sudden it's 6 points, and we're all thinking again it's definitely on. Even if they draw, we're thinking, oh, it's still on. So we'll have to see. And yeah, as Andrew just said, Charlie, 4th place, 7th. So if we got that 4th spot, you're looking at being at home to Grimsby, Dagenham, Bournemouth, or Torquay, pretty much. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. So before we go on, I just want to draw attention to 2 things. Today's question is all about superpowers. What superpower would you rather have? Invisibility, super speed, super strength, or being a mind reader? We will talk about what we would have at the end. And also a big challenge for everyone, if you could help us, we want to get our goal at the start of the season with 2,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Whether that end of the season be regular season, or I hope it extends to the playoffs. If we can get 2,000, we're going to do a giveaway of 5 more mugs, aren't we, George? We'll do a big giveaway of 5 more mugs. We'll do them all at once, so a huge giveaway. So if you could help us somehow get to 2,000, that's just around 100 more subscribers. If you're not already subscribed and you're watching, drop us a subscription, please. If we get to 2,000, we'll do a big giveaway of the mugs. That is our goal. That's our challenge. And hopefully we can give the mugs away on a promotion video.
Yeah.
That'd be good. That'd be good.
We'll get some gear in the background as well, like lasers behind us and stuff.
Yeah. And I'm sure you said you'll be doing karaoke if not Go Up.
Yeah, I did. I'm fairly confident about that.
Do you stand by that?
Yeah. This season I'll do it, yeah.
Yeah, so if Knots Go Up, you will be doing a karaoke session.
Yeah.
Live. If Knots get promoted, can we have 6 mugs, a 6-mug giveaway? What do you reckon, George?
Go on then.
Yeah, definitely. 6 mugs to give away. So get your votes in on that question. Also, if you could help us tell anyone that doesn't already know about the channel to help get us to 2,000. So, George, Kings Lynn on a Friday. Lovely. Friday, 4-day weekend. Starts with Kings Lynn. And I was going to say confident. I don't know. I mean, in the last 4 games, they've beaten Halifax and Bromley without conceding. They were cut adrift. They were finished. When their owner was putting pictures of videos of the ref on their YouTube channel, they were finished. They were gone. And since that, they've gone and got some brilliant results. Not going to be that easy, is it?
No, it wasn't that easy really when we played them. I know the scoreline might not reflect it, but that first half, they made it difficult for us. Not a very nice side, I don't think. Very tough side to break down. There's elements of that game where I thought we were quite lucky because they had some good chances where they didn't quite put away. Obviously, it wasn't for Cal, that game would have been completely different. Special game for him that was. So yeah, it's not going to be plain sailing by any stretch because they're literally fighting for their lives, like you say.
Yeah, that's a good one. Sorry, I'd love that. So if not to get to Wembley International, but also Callum says his dad does karaoke and has lasers. So Callum, if we could borrow those lasers for George's karaoke session, that would be really good. So they almost beat Yeovil. They conceded very, very late the other day. Almost beat Yeovil. As I said, beating Bromley, beating Halifax. And I'm glad it's not going to be an easy game. You don't want that now, do you? We need to see the character. Like you said, they're going to come to Notts. They're going to fancy themselves because they know they rattled Notts when we went there. Look, Notts, like you said, Cal had to put in an 11 out of 10 performance to get Notts that victory. It's not often you score 4 goals in the second half, but they still had chances. Their owner outlined it. They could have had a penalty at their place as well. One of them, I think, was a penalty.
Nah.
Possibly. Well, you just don't like their owner. But, I'm sure we could get him on the channel if you wanted. I think he'd just come on anyway, just have a chat about refs and he'd be on. But no, we would. Come on. But yeah, I'm glad it's not going to be an easy game. I don't want any of them to be easy for the rest of the season. I want the players to have to work hard to win. What I do think could play in Notts' favour this game is the pitch. Do you? I think the pitch could really help Notts out. Because at Kings Lynn, one of the worst pitches you've seen?
Definitely up there, yeah. Definitely up there. It was wet.
It was more than wet. The players were passing it about 10 yards in front and it was ending up behind the players. So it was terrible.
Dragging on it.
It was. So the squad for this game then, against a side that are the definition of scrapping for it. 5 points behind Aldershot, who are the team that are in safety. Aldershot have 2 games in hand. We played Southend, and if Southend didn't beat Notts, their promotion hopes were pretty much over. They didn't. If Torquay didn't beat Notts, their promotion hopes were pretty much over. They did. If Kings Lynn don't beat Notts, you're looking at possibly their hopes of staying up almost gone. So we'll go to the lineup in a second because I just want to get this question from Charlie. Do you think we could keep 7 clean sheets in our last 7 games?
No,
I don't think we could keep.
No, I don't think
five
we'll
clean
keep.
sheets.
Yeah, I don't even think we'll keep 4.
No, I agree. Which
I seen a stat, interesting stat. I think I can't remember who it is. There's, in the top 12, I think we've conceded the most, other than Torquay.
Yeah, it's by quite a bit as well compared to some teams. We sort of conceded 10 more than Solihull, 20 more than Halifax. We conceded 20 more than Bournemouth, who were below us. So that sort of suggests, but we're one of the top scorers, so it sort of suggests we've got issues at the back as well. I don't really know. But do you think we'll keep 7 clean sheets? No, I don't think I think we'll keep 3, personally. And I think they'll be Weymouth and the 2 Dover games, I think. Although the banks are keeping a clean sheet at Kings Lynn away, and that went within the first sort of 15, 20 minutes. So who knows? If we kept 7 clean sheets in the last 7, I'd be amazed. Absolutely amazed. But you never know. Line up then, George. 7 games to go. We don't know if we prefer 4 or 5 at the back. I don't know if we prefer 4 or 5 at the back. I'm guessing you don't know if you prefer 4 or 5 at the back, because I said we prefer 5 at the back and then we go and let 5 goals in.
Yeah. For me, I think against the bigger teams this season, we've played 5 at the back. Well, the more difficult teams to beat anyway. I do think we've gone 5 at the back for the majority of those. So for me, looking more into the future of, I'm not saying we're going to get playoffs, but we're in a good position to get playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, nothing's mathematically achieved yet. So I think going into the playoffs, I do think we should sort of maybe try and stick with a formation. And for me, it probably should be 5 at the back, because that is a formation that's served us fairly well over the season. Like we said, it's like all season, we've had great chances. We've just not been putting them away. So it's those fine sort of margins. But I feel like in the bigger games, we do sort of seem to do a little bit better. Maybe not recently, but I just think for the running, just stick to one formation, just to get the confidence back in that formation, to get players in them roles playing, as well as they can do. Do you know what I mean? Just to get them ready for the playoffs.
I agree. I wouldn't like to see us go sort of 3 games of a 5 and then go to a 4 and then go back to a 5. I don't think that's going to do us any good. So you saying 5? You saying you're going to go to a 5? Okay. Also, before we go to our lineup again, something Max has just said. Do we have to win in a certain manner against Kings Lynn, or do you think so let's say you leave the ground on Friday evening and we're beating Kings Lynn 1-0 with like a last minute goal that's sort of ricocheted around and gone in off their own player. How are you leaving the ground in that situation?
Well, I think there's standards and levels, isn't there? I think we should be looking to be putting more passing than that.
But if we win 1-0 to an own goal, it's not. Is that even with 3 points? Do you see that as not good enough?
Yeah, no, it's nowhere near good enough.
Fair enough. I think we do have to go out there and make a statement. And I listened to Doyle's chat today, and I think he knows that as well. He sort of said everyone sat down in there and rewatched the game, and the players knew instantly. I hope the players are hurting as well. I hope they really want to put on a show on Friday. But I hope Kings Lynn make it difficult for us. I hope they don't just come and try and sit back and defend, because no one else is going to do that later on in the season, especially in the playoffs. So it'll be interesting. Callum says, could we play 2 goalkeepers? I'm pretty sure that's not in the rules, Callum. But we could try it. The refs in this league probably wouldn't notice until at least the 70th minute. They probably wouldn't have a clue. So, in goal, there's a few calls on here for Slocum. I'm going to keep it a Yout. I don't know. I don't think Yout's could have done too much with the goals.
Yeah, so, I think he's had a lot of a bit of criticism for conceding so many, and people saying Slocum didn't concede this many, rah. But some of the saves he's put out the recent weeks, the games would have been completely different. Results would have been different, and then it's an issue. But I don't think he's the issue at all. I think it's what's in front of him. He's been hard done by.
I also don't think he could have saved any of them on Saturday. I don't think, especially their first one. Didn't even have a chance to really dive. So Yaros in goal. Talk me through your defence.
For me, I think keep the back three the same. I do. I think obviously Lacey, Rawlinson, and Chickson.
Lacey definitely. Rawlinson definitely. And I don't know whether we go Graham or Chickson. I think we stick with Chickson because I don't think any of Saturday was really his fault. It's like playing a 5-a-side game with me against you. I would just run you ragged. It wouldn't be fair. Do you know what I mean? I'll be popping it through your legs, running back, putting it through your legs again. You know, you'll be have broken ankles by the end of it. It's that kind of game. And obviously I've got the strength on you as well, so I'll be pushing you to the floor, sort of thing. But I think keep Chickson in. Joel Taylor gone missing. Will we see him again?
Charlie's just putting it, hasn't he? Who knows? I don't know what's going on there. Something must have happened. Like performance-wise, it's not worked out the way they wanted it to, or I don't know.
Remember how we started the season?
Yeah, he's really good, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a weird one, isn't it? I'd definitely go Richardson.
Yeah,
right wing back. But yeah, maybe go Dion because his performances at Mad Lane have been great from what he has played.
Yeah, I like Dion. I do like Dion, but I'm thinking Chickson was also good at wing back, wasn't he? And he's a more natural left wing back. So I wouldn't actually be if Dion wasn't going to play. I wouldn't mind seeing Graham come in at centre back and Chickson at wing back again. I remember seeing Chickson at one of the games at Mad Lane recently get a couple of nutmegs in the same game. That's what you want to see. That's what I pay my money for. I pay my money to see Chickson doing that. But I'm still going to stick as my preference with Dion at left wing back and Richardson at right wing back. Then we go to the midfield. It's going to get tasty when we get to the attackers. Do you start Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Regardless of people saying he didn't play very well.
Yeah, it's been a week, hasn't it? I mean, he's obviously a good player. He's cut above this league for sure. So I think, let him play this one. But I mean, Palmer for me definitely as well alongside him. And then I don't know about the other one. I'm not sure. It's difficult.
I'm going Arthur and Palmer, and then I'm not pairing him with Vincent. I'm going Wharton up top. Ruben not behind him, to the side, sort of out wide on the other side. I think someone's already mentioned it. I'm going Aaron Domain. He's got to be playing more. Like we always go back to this because it's
like a 4-2-3.
Well, no,
5-2-3. 5-2-3.
Pretty much, yeah. I think at home against Kings Lynn, Aaron Domain, what I saw and heard from Saturday, especially in the highlights, he deserves it. I was just about to say we go back to it all the time because he's barely played. But Yeovil away, he was so good. I messaged you today about it.
Yeah, we were talking about it, weren't they? Yeah.
He's give him a run in the team. Like he's absolutely lightning, and he actually played through the middle pretty well against. I wouldn't have him as a centre midfielder, but he was comfortable to take it through the middle against Yeovil. So I think I want to see Domain play. I really want to see him play.
Yeah.
So that's my side. What about you?
I'm gonna agree with you. I think I'd like to see Domain as well. Yeah, I'll agree with you.
And I'd also like to see Carl on the bench to come on.
And Eli.
Yeah, possibly. Oh, that miss. There's quite a lot of people in the chat talking about Mitchell. Tom says that Domain off Wharton like he played in the trophy game off Mitchell. I thought that worked well for the first half, but a few people saying they would have Mitchell starting. Not for me. Wharton got his first goal away from home in about 12 years, and it was a very, very good goal. That could have confidence back in. Someone's mentioned Zach Brunt. Don't know. Someone said they think we'll see a lot of Zach Brunt. I'm not possibly sure.
12 years.
12 years, yeah.
Is that statistically correct?
Hang on. 11 and a half. 11 and a half. That might be games, but I can't actually read properly, so
No need.
it's one of the two. Mike says he went to Woking away, and Nemaim was man of the match. Justice for Nemaim. I want to see him play. Give him a chance. These are times to now. You never know. We might do what we did with Eli and play someone into amazing form for the playoffs. Could play Mitchell into great form. We were laughing at Eli. Well, people were laughing at Eli before he hit this run of form. So, but Cal off the bench for me personally.
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to start thinking about your predictions, then we'll get ours in as well. But George, you want to talk us through the poll today?
Yeah, resounding winner today. What superpower would you prefer to have? I'll start from the bottom. Super strength, 3%.
3%? How many votes have we got here?
34. So that's
about one person, isn't it?
One vote, yeah.
Super strength.
Yeah. Mind reader, 21%. Super speed, 15%. Invisible, 62%.
What did you vote?
Invisible.
What would you do with invisibility, George? PG though.
PG, probably fill my car with petrol and drive away.
Would you? Do you not think they'd notice the car being filled up?
I don't know. There's only one way to find out, isn't there?
Callum says already super strong. I can only imagine he's talking about me on that one. So thank you, Callum. Obviously, I don't need to choose that. I'd do mind reading now. I'll be sat at the top of the Pavis and I'll be watching us miss another chance, and I'll just go like that. I'll just mind read Birchnell. Well, I'll mind read what Doyle's thinking, and I won't be able to say what Doyle's thinking.
I feel like mind reading would drive you nuts after a bit.
Yeah, but you could choose who you read the mind of.
Yeah.
Couldn't you? I'd literally be mind reading Dion for the whole game and just be running around saying like snap him. It'd be class. I think mind reading would be funny. I agree though. I think it'd be a bit dodgy when filling up your car though, and there's just the pump floating about. Yeah. Going invisible didn't help the defence on Saturday. Alan gets star viewer. There we go. Star viewer for that comment. Right, George, score prediction today. Went man of the match prediction on Friday. It didn't work. So score prediction then. What are you going to say for the visit of Kings Lynn on Friday?
1-0 Notts, 90th minute own goal. Not joking. I'm going 2-0 Notts.
Just told me that's not good enough.
No, I'm going 2-0 Notts.
Then who are you going with?
Watts to get another one, and Ruben.
No, fair enough. That'd be good. Get them in form as well. I'm going to say this more in hope than I think it will happen. I'm saying 4-0 Notts, because 4-0 Notts for me, 3-0 Notts in a good performance is a way of saying, look, we messed up, we're back. 2-0, I feel like we should be scoring more than that. I also feel like we've just berated the talk of clean sheets, but I do sort of think we need a clean sheet. We do definitely need one. So let's see what you guys are saying then. 5-1, back with a bang. Chickson, I can only presume there's the Chickson hat trick there. Dad says 1-0. It'll be tight on Friday. Mark says 1-0. Andrew says 3-1 Notts. Conceding depends how we concede. If it's a screamer, it doesn't matter. But 4-1 Notts, Arthur hat trick and Wootton, and Arthur hat trick would silence people. 6-0 Notts, that would certainly be impressive. 4-0. Mike says 6-1. There's quite a lot of scores here. I think it's people are starting to think, we need to bounce back and we need to show what we're doing. So 5 or 6-0. And Callum's corrected himself there. 5-1 should have been back with a bang and Chickson hat trick. There we go. So it's a Tuesday. It's throwing everyone. Some people think it's a Thursday. If you usually have Friday off work for some reason, make sure you don't have tomorrow off work, because it isn't Thursday today. It is Tuesday. As I've already said, if you could help us get to that 2,000 mark before the end of the season, we'd massively, massively appreciate that. Let's hope that in a few days' time, we're talking about a big victory and we look ahead to Weymouth. Thank you for joining us on a Tuesday night, and hope to see a few of you at the game when we hope